Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into another wonderful Tuesday here at the Quick Tips with WeVideo show. I'm Ryan, as always, and with me is
Stu Jernigan, happy to be here. How you doing, Ryan?
Hey, Stu. Doing well, man. Doing well. This is I can't believe it's already October. I was just thinking today, calendar turned. It doesn't feel like fall yet here in California because we're experiencing quite a wild heat wave. It's going to be over 100 degrees here today on October 1st. So, pretty wild weather for us. Trying to get into the fall spirit, but it's difficult when you walk outside and you're immediately sweating. So.
Um, Understandable. I'm in Colorado, and it is peak fall over here. The aspens are just golden. It's really beautiful, actually.
Yeah, kind of jealous of folks that are experiencing cool fall weather.
I don't mean to brag. I
No,
apologize.
it's okay. It's totally fine. But I hope you all are getting into the swing of the fall season. And as the calendar turns to October 1, we've got a brand new creative challenge for all of you out there in the WeVideo universe that we're going to share with you today. Stu has collaborated with friends of ours out here in the California Bay Area. Our Northern California PBS affiliate, KQED, does a youth media challenge each and every school year. And our October Creative Challenge is aligned with much of the content that they promote through their channels. So Stu's going to talk with us about that today and show you how you can get where to go to find the information on how to complete this challenge, examples of what this challenge looks like as you might want to complete it, and then we're going to dive into the editor and demo that for you.
Awesome. Should we jump into it?
Yeah, let's get into it. So, Stu, let's jump in first to show where we're going to head to get the information about all of the ways to complete this challenge today.
Sounds great. So, yeah, this is a really exciting creative challenge this month. You can access this creative challenge and all of our creative challenges every month by going to wevideo.com/creative-challenges. And so that's sort of the landing page for our creative challenge program. And so you'll always find that month's creative challenge linked here. You can also find at the bottom all of our past creative challenges, which, even though it's not the month that we're running those challenges, you can always run those activities in your classroom and sort of run your own mini creative challenge for your students. So those can be a lot of fun. But this month we are running this KQED Call for Change commentary project. So I'm going to click into here and open up that page. And so, as we sort of mentioned, this month we're featuring a project that comes from KQED. KQED is the local NPR and PBS affiliate in the Bay Area, and they have a whole education team that puts out wonderful content, including 3 youth media challenges that they've designed that run year round. And so they have a personal narrative youth media challenge, an informational piece, and then a commentary piece. And so we're featuring their commentary piece. It's called Call for Change. They're doing a big push around this with the election coming up. We just know that, people are interested in sort of the issues that people are talking about. And so this challenge invites young people to create media about the issues that are important to them. And I'll just read this quote from them. I think this describes the challenge really well. It says, "In the Call for Change commentary project, students combine a personal connection to an issue with research-based evidence, then express their ideas for how to make the world a better place." So this is a great opportunity to amplify youth voice, you know, personalized learning and support student agency by providing students an opportunity to choose the topic that they're interested in, and then engage in research and develop some of those academic research skills. Learn how to form a claim and support it with evidence, and then also to think through solving a problem. Right, some of the really important thinking skills, creative thinking, problem solving that we know are critical for young people to develop. So lots of ways to develop important academic and life skills through this project.
Yeah, and I think too, KQED has a broad reach with their project scope. So thinking about, right, like Stu had mentioned, a big push as we get into the upcoming presidential election season. Those are national issues, right? But this Call for Change project can be localized to your communities as well, where students can really dig into issues that impact their school community directly, their neighborhood community directly. So you can make it broad statewide national issues, or you can really drill down into issues affecting your specific community as well. And again, as Stu said, very personalized, very much connected to the students' real lives as you begin to provide them the opportunity to do research in their own space.
Absolutely. And KQED has a whole curriculum built out for this. So all
Yeah,
the
really cool.
resources that a teacher would need to run this activity in their class are provided. And they also have a showcase page that is full of youth media. And so students, whose teachers run this project in their classroom have the option to submit their final media piece to KQED to be included in this showcase page. And that's a public facing website. So it's a
Yeah, it's
great
really
way to
cool.
connect young people to a broad, authentic audience. Really coming back to that idea of amplifying youth voice and connecting their work to a public audience.
Yeah, I mean, how cool for a student if they've completed this work and they've put a ton of passion into it and really able to amplify their voice and show what they've learned through this process, and then have that broadcast to a national audience. I mean,
Super
it's
cool.
yeah, those kinds of opportunities shouldn't be taken lightly. I think that's a really huge thing for a student's pride in their work and motivation to put themselves out there.
Absolutely. I mean, you think about getting the most out of students, right? And
Yeah,
engagement in the
absolutely.
classroom. And, if you take something from, a young person handing in an assignment to a teacher and that the sort of flow is they hand it into the teacher and they get it back versus like, hey, you're going to make a piece of media that you have the option to, share with a broad
Yeah,
audience. I mean, that's a really motivating thing for
totally.
young people to do
Yeah,
their best work.
for sure.
Yeah. So I think, I'd love to show people the curricular resources that are available, but maybe we can start with an example that the student has made through this challenge, and they can kind of just see what an end product might look like from a young person.
Yeah, absolutely. That's always a great way to start with sharing the power of this project is through a really high quality example. So I
Great.
think we've got 3 student examples there. Which one are you gonna which one do you want to show us?
They're all great. Why don't we start with
Yeah.
AI's impact on artists? And
Since
yeah,
AI is
so
such a hot button topic in education today, right? I mean, that makes sense to me.
yeah,
Yeah.
something people are thinking about. And so yeah, there are 3 examples here, high quality examples that you can share with the students in your classroom as examples of what their end product might look like. So they have sort of a model of excellence and an idea of what they'll be creating. So yeah, let's take a look at one of these, and let's go full screen on this. Here we go.
The thought of robots taking over jobs can be pretty terrifying depending on what career you're pursuing. Artificial AI can do what you do best, and some might say it's more efficient. That's where the problem lies. Shortly, humans are going to have fewer and fewer jobs because of AI, and their ability to adapt may lead to even more devastating things happening.
On social media, it is not difficult to stumble upon controversy with AI, especially when you're on the art side of the internet. I have seen many instances where AI creates an annoyance in the art community, and I know several artists who have publicly shown concern for what AI is capable of doing. I've heard words thrown around when AI becomes relevant in a post, like how it's unfair, unoriginal, lazy, stealing, and shows no creativity at all.
Thought provoking is oversimplified way to put that project. I think not only did the students show their ability to research and express information about a topic, but their own opinions and make commentary on that, but they really also provided a means to have an ongoing conversation about this topic, right? Like they framed it in their own personal experience. They provided their commentary and their opinion on it, but left room for debate, I think, which is an important component to this. And so right, you could watch that video and then you and I could even have a conversation about the impact of AI in the art community, because I see it on a daily basis. If you interact with social media, if you interact with anything, right, like there's AI generated images happening and AI generated art happening in the world. So for me, as I was watching that, I just had all of these thoughts come up, and it was like provoking these different opinions that I had on the topic, which was really cool.
Yeah, I love that. There's so much going on here. I mean, the students are like considering the ethics of AI. They're taking a topic that's new, it's relevant, it's something that adults are debating. Adults are exploring, learning about, having the same kinds of conversations. And so you just think about like the level of critical thinking involved, the fact that they're exploring this topic from multiple angles and considering multiple points of view. It's not, they're not sort of like exploring the topic in black and white terms, right? They're really getting into like the nuance. I mean, there's just so much going on here that I think, as we're sort of debating AI policy initiatives in education, like why not have young people, explore that topic as well and express, sort of what their perspective is on it. So yeah, I think this is great example.
Yeah, it really hits on all the the areas that a learning experience should be for students, in my opinion, because it does provide all the the motivation to do the work, the intrinsic motivation that you could tell that they were invested in this topic. It was a choice in their learning because they got to decide on the area of exploration or the phenomena that they wanted to explore, the whatever it is that they wanted to show to a broader audience, and they then put some hard academic skills into it, right? Commentary, argumentative writing, you have to learn how to take different perspectives. I think back to the whole like 5-paragraph essay structure you learned in high school, and how you've got to have your opinion and then counter evidence and then provide a conclusion, like you could see that through that entire piece. And those are real like academic standards that teachers are assessing on in classrooms, that was overlaid with a video project, but not just that, a project that was motivating because it meant something and was meaningful to the students, right? So creating that learning experience that hits on all of those different areas that we want to provide to students.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you think about making a personal connection to the issue, the two of them as artists talking about what it means to them as artists. And then you think about things like Bloom's taxonomy and higher order thinking skills. They're having to evaluate the ethics of this new technology and then create something new, and then you think about 21st century skills. Here's two students collaborating on this whole process of like choosing a topic and conducting research and planning a script and writing an argument and creating a video. I mean, that's some really high level skills that these students are engaging in.
Yeah, for sure. So great example. So let's talk about the nuts and bolts of how they made it, right? How can this be accomplished? And we are doing this as a creative challenge, but I encourage you to, if you don't feel like, if this feels like it fits in a longer form unit for you and you're not going to have a month, I don't want that to deter you from engaging in this project, because again, I think there is benefit outside of our creative challenge. But if we had a month, if teachers see this video or educators see this video today or this week or whenever, well, what's a good way to get started? What are some approaches that teachers can take to facilitate this with students? What are some approaches students can take to complete the challenge?
Yeah, so as far as teachers implementing the challenge, let's start there. So there's a link here on the Creative Challenge page for everything you need to run this challenge, and so that'll take you to the challenge page on KQED's website. And so these are the resources that KQED have built out and are providing to help teachers implement this project. And they're also offering the opportunity for you to do this as a video commentary or even an editorial cartoon. And so, with WeVideo, you can, of course, export projects as both video and podcast. So you could run this project with WeVideo as a video or podcasting project, or even give students the choice between creating a video or a podcast. So just want to call that out. But yeah, they have all the standards here. They have a rubric that that you can use and or adapt as well. Going back to that page, They also have a project roadmap. So this is sort of walking you through the steps of what it takes to choose a topic, to generate sort of an idea of what you want to explore, for conducting research, for filming your video clips, and then editing and publishing. So at each step, they have resources like graphic organizers. For example, they start by having students analyze an example, just like we kind of did here on this show. And so they have several examples linked here that students can watch, and then some questions to prompt reflection and analysis to help students think about, what a strong end product might look like, and what kind of features they might want to include in their their final video or media piece. So so all of those graphic organizers and resources are there to help facilitate the project. And then they also have the showcase page here as well. And that's where all of the youth media that has been submitted lives. And so that's that page that if your students want to submit their piece to a larger audience, that's where that piece would live. So if you run this activity in your project, you get a submission code to give to students. So you'll find that amongst these resources here. And that's when your students submit their video, they'll just enter that code, and that's how they're able to then submit it to the showcase page. They also have things like what's it called? Like a media release form, and things like that are needed.
Yeah, to get permission from the students and consent from the necessary parties to be able to publish the media.
Yeah, exactly.
And I will say, everything that Stu's showing you, we've put some links here on the screen for you, but everything you're going to need to complete this challenge you can find down in the description in our show notes. So head there as you're watching, and you can find all the links that we're sharing.
Cool. Yeah. And then so as far as editing a project like this in WeVideo, I'm going to pop over to the editor. I have this project that I ran. KQED and WeVideo ran a workshop together on this Call for Change Youth Media Challenge. And so just demoing the editor, this was a project I created, just taking a topic around climate change and sustainability. And so this would be a way to approach this project as far as like from a video editing standpoint, if it's going to be narrative driven. So kind of like the example that we looked at, if students are going to write a script based on their research and then take a voice recording of that script and then pair it with images or video clips, this is sort of what that final product would look like in the editor. So you can see I've got my voiceover here. I've got my audio track here where we've got some music. That could also be where you put sound effects. And you can add more audio tracks if you need to layer things like multiple sound effects and things like that. And then we've got video clips here that are that match with the content in the voice recording, and sort of illustrate those ideas. And then we've got a text block here, and so that's just using stock media from the stock media library. And so basically the process for creating a video like that would be to start with a voice recording, which you can do from the project bin by clicking narrate, and then to upload media if you have your own media, by importing here or accessing the stock media library by clicking videos, and then just using search terms like for this one, you could search climate change or sustainability, whatever the topic is, right? And then I like to, before I add my media to the timeline, I like to add it to the project bin. So I'll just do another search term here. So you can do that by just right clicking. So for me, that's control click on the keyboard and clicking share to project. And that will add that piece of media to the project bin. So you can see I've got all my media collected here in the project bin. I just like to do that so then I can look at all the media holistically and say, okay, these are the best pieces of media for for the content or the message that I want to convey, and then use those pieces of media. And then as far as adding them to the timeline, it's just clicking and dragging them down, and then just clicking and dragging the edges to kind of trim to the length that you want, and sort of sequencing them. So that's like a very simple sort of approach as from an editing standpoint to this project. And that'd be sort of a narrative driven approach. I think another way to approach this would be if students are going to actually capture their own media, and instead of recording a voice recording off of a script, or maybe in addition to, the narrative is going to be driven by the video clips that they capture. And so I don't have one based on an issue, but just to show you a couple editing tips for that. I went on a hike this weekend and I just took some video clips so I can show you guys a couple things that you might do. So I've got this, video where I'm kind of talking about the hike that I'm going on. And and so this would be a similar, like for an issue, right? If they're going to interview people who work for a nonprofit or people who work on the issue that they're researching, right? Or they're going to capture like live action film, right? These are some of the things they might do. So one thing that one tool you might use is the color correction tool. So you can kind of see that like these clips have a little bit of a different feel. They were shot during a different time of day, and maybe you want to convey that they're shot over a different time of day. But if you want to kind of match those clips, you can use color correction. So to do that, I will double click on this piece of media. And full transparency, I kind of realized during the hike, I wanted to capture this media. So at the end of the hike, I shot this video where I'm like, I'm about to go on a hike at the trailhead. So that's why it looks a little later.
Later in the day.
It looks later in the day. So let's
Yeah.
see if we can use color correction to kind of
Nice.
fix that. So maybe you'd bring up the brightness a little bit to make it look a little bit lighter. This is feeling a little washed out, so you could adjust the contrast a little bit to kind of help with that. If you needed to bring in some color, make the sunset come out a little bit more, you could boost the saturation. And then you could play around with like tint and temperature. For our piece of media, we probably wouldn't want to go too far with things like hue and because that's going to change the whole color scheme to be a little less realistic. So we could kind of see how that looks. It maybe gets us a little bit more closer. It maybe amplifies the sense of like the sun setting. So you can kind of play around with that. Another thing you could do is use filters. So I could, with this piece of media selected, I could come into filters and kind of play around and see if I can find a filter that works. And you could apply that to the selected clip or all clips and see if that kind of can help create more of a matching tone between your clips. And I think that does create a closer match between the clips. It's a great facial expression right there. That might not be that particular filter might not be the one that I want, like the look that I'm going for. So you can kind of play around with finding the right look. That's probably not the one either. But yeah, so I think you kind of get the idea of like how you can apply filters to all clips to kind of create a matching tone, or use color correction to correct one clip. Ryan, it looked like you maybe were going to say something, but no worries. If
I was
not,
just asking, like, your equipment is just your phone, yeah?
I'm just using my phone for this. Yeah, I mean, phones they have great cameras on them. So yeah,
Phones or tablets, if you have that available to you and are allowing students to capture media, it's a great way. It's a great and easy and simple way to collect what you need to collect. No need to have high-end DSLRs or cameras like that.
Yeah.
For this project. Unless that's something that you have available to you, right? But otherwise, for this project, a simple phone, as Stu is illustrating here, is an easy way to capture media.
Totally. So I guess two more editing techniques that I want to share that I think are useful for this sort of documentary style project. I have this media clip. I already created splits here to isolate this clip, but I'll just kind of show you, what I did there. So basically I had this single media clip, and I just drag the playhead here, use the split tool to isolate this middle clip, because I like the narrative at the beginning and the end of this clip, but I don't really like this middle section. I kind of wander off a little bit. So I'm just going to get rid of that. And then I'm going to drag this clip over to create a more sort of coherent narrative. However, if we're watching this, you're probably going to notice that there's a cut, because you'll see like a jump, right? Let's just take a look. Me too. Sun's. Okay, yeah, clear jump, facial expression changes. So I'm pretty tired at this point. I think I was like, there's about 2,000 foot climb at that point. So that's why I'm breathing so heavily. But yeah, really, really clear cut there, which sometimes you want like a jump cut. You know, you see that a lot on like TikTok. That's something that's used a lot. But if you want to hide that cut, there are a couple things you could do. One thing you could do is create a cut in. And so that's probably not going to work so well here, because the expression is so different. Like my head is turned to the side. So you could use a cut in, or you could use B-roll. So I might, for this one, drag down some B-roll. So I've got my media, my uploads tab. I've already organized it into a folder. I would definitely encourage people to organize your clips and even name your clips so that they're easy to find. I've got my B-roll. I've got all my narrative clips here, and then all my B-roll here. And I'm talking about how, you know, we're getting towards the top of the hike. So I might find some media that kind of matches with what I'm talking about. Click and drag that down and layer it on top. And so now we're going to go from this clip. It'll be hidden by our B-roll, and then we'll jump back to the clip of us talking. But the thing with B-roll is you want to turn the audio down. So I'm just going to double click on this B-roll clip, go to audio, turn the volume down to 0 so it's not interfering with what I'm saying. Or maybe if you want some of that audio, you could leave it at like 10% or something like that, just so it's not interfering with what you're saying. And then our clip would look like this. Close. I got some beautiful views behind me too. Sun's coming down. Okay, maybe I'd find then like a clip of, you know, I think I took one looking back here. Yeah, this clip might be better because it's kind of showing the view. So, you know, and you could bring multiple clips down for B-roll as well. And that's really helping to, you know, just tell the story visually, right? So that's one thing is sort of using B-roll. And then I mentioned a cut in. So let me find a place that works a little bit better for that.
And B-roll doesn't have to be media that you've captured. You can find a piece of stock media that fits the media you've captured as well. If you didn't think to capture B-roll as you're out, you know, filming, you can find a piece of stock media to do the exact same effect that Stu just showed you.
Great point. Absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, and you can maybe use some of your own media, some stock media, supplement with stock media, any, you know, whatever works. And so that last thing I was going to show you is a cut in. So here we've got like, let's see what this looks like. Beautiful piece. Yeah, a little bit of a jump. It's kind of obvious. It's going to take your viewer out of the story. So if we just double click on the second clip, and we can use the transform tool to adjust the scale. So we'll just kind of bring that in a little bit. And this is not going to sound great because the audio isn't set up. So we're just really focused on the visual here. And so let's just play this. Beautiful piece. Okay, so that change in scale, change in angle can just help kind of hide the cut by just like focusing in or zooming out. It'll help hide the jump in the facial expressions. That's another editing technique you can use, especially with interviews. It's really useful.
Simple too. It's
super
really
simple.
Yeah. Really simple to implement on the timeline.
Yeah. So I would say all three of those, you know, color correction, filters, cut-ins, and then B-roll, simple editing techniques that go a long way in improving your video, your final piece.
Yeah, and adding to the visual storytelling aspect of this as well.
Totally. Yeah. So that's I think that's all I've got for this project.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to recap that, there's two different ways to approach. I mean, there's many different ways to approach this, but the two ways that Stu showed you and that you can approach this and facilitating this as students complete it is one, utilizing stock media and narration, voiceover, or capturing your own media and either narrating through that capture of media or also utilizing voiceover, or using a combination of the two, right? So there's different ways to approach this. The example you saw was animated. So you know, if you have the means to do that and the time to do that, there are different tools that you can use to animate something and bring that into WeVideo to finish a video as well. We didn't have time to kind of dig into exactly how the students approached that project, but that example is, you know, in my opinion, interchangeable with the way you might use stock media or collect footage and then narrate over it. That's what they were doing, was narrating over an animation with some text involved as well. So that's something we didn't show, but you can also use text to enhance the visual storytelling aspect of that. But it's really what you have access to, the timeline you have to work with this project, what's going to maybe be the simplest approach that it's going to not take away from, I think, the core of the activity, which is that script writing or the research component that's involved in creating this commentary on an issue of the student's choosing, right? These video editing techniques are just ways to visualize and tell the story of that piece of research that you've done.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'll actually just show, I think something just useful for people to know with filters. If I wanted to get rid of these filters, you can always just click on filters, and then I want to remove them from all clips. Let's say just click on the filter that you've chosen to uncheck it and click apply, and that'll remove the filter. Yeah.
Super easy.
Yeah.
Great. So let's remind folks how they can submit if you complete the challenge. What are the ways that they're going to go ahead and submit again, just as a reminder for folks?
Yeah, so there are, I guess, two options for submitting, and you can do both. One, you know, you can have your students submit their media to the KQED showcase page through KQED's website, and that's just to be included on that web page and reach a broad audience. And then for participating in our creative challenge, by the end of the month, you can submit students' videos via the link here. That'll take you to a Google form, and we will review the videos submitted at the end of the month and pick a winner, and we'll celebrate your class on social media, and we'll send you some swag. So always fun, you know, students get really excited when their class wins the creative challenge. So it's really just a fun way to motivate young people to participate in the project.
Yeah, we've had some folks that are very, very excited about that. And if you are posting on social media, always tag us at WeVideo and use the hashtag WeVideo Creative. And you know, we'll be out there retweeting you and promoting the content that you share with us that you've made and your students have made in WeVideo. So we highly encourage sharing if that's possible for you. If that falls within the guidelines of your school and school district, please share this work, because again, like we've been talking about this whole episode, it's highly motivating to folks, students and adult learners alike, to be sharing the content that they create and giving that content the ability to get in front of a wider audience is hugely important.
Absolutely.
We share hashtag WeVideo Creative.
Yeah. And I guess as we're wrapping up, we also, you know, we put out these episodes every week, every Tuesday. So come back here next Tuesday. We invite people to subscribe to our YouTube channel so they can get updates as these episodes come out. And yeah, anything else?
Yeah, give us a like, you know, hit that notification bell so you're notified when the episodes drop. Also leave comments for us. Please tell us what you liked about this episode, how you might be thinking about implementing this, what you want to see in future episodes. We're always open to your ideas as well, because we want to make sure that we're speaking directly to our customers and what they want to do with the product, and all the fun things and different ways that you can provide amazing experiences with multimedia creation. This, in a couple of weeks, it's digital, if I could say that words, Digital Citizenship Week, and we're going to be running a special episode. We are going to have a guest on that. Tisha Poncio from Wakelet is going to be joining us to talk all about digital citizenship. So we've got some fun projects for that coming up. So make sure that you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Make sure you're receiving those notifications. And then later in the month, it's going to be spooky time. because Halloween is just around the corner at the end of the month. So we've got another special guest. Jen Liebman's going to come on for a special live show on the 22nd of October, I believe. So again, make sure that you're getting notified of these episodes because that's going to be a fun one. She's going to have some really cool assignments. It's going to be our first live broadcast of Quick Tips. So please join us. And then we're going to have a cool episode on different ways to make activities spooktacular using video. And that'll be at the end of the month. So again, please come hang out with us and make us part of your day. Every Tuesday, come join us for Quick Tips with WeVideo.
Awesome. Yeah, that should be a lot of fun. There are a lot of great Halloween themed media clips in the Stock Media Library for creating stories connected to Halloween. So that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. But until then, thank you so much for tuning in today. Complete the creative challenge. Try this out. Let us know, submit your videos. Let us know how your students did, how you liked it. And until then, happy creating, everybody. Bye now.
Bye-bye.